Bid to cover coming in 2.98, right in line with the last auction of 3 years. Indirects 38%. That's way less than the 60.9% purchased by indirect bidders in the last auction of 3-year notes. In terms of yield, 1.490% is the yield. The survey was forecasting that yield to come in at 1.51%. And Brian Luke's also covering the auction on our markets desk. Brian, in your preview, you mentioned how important it was to key in on the indirect bidder. So we see a big decline there, at least from the last auction results. What do you make of that? What does it say to you about this, the results of this auction?
It definitely seems like the foreign central banks are backing away from the 3-year portion of the curve. They love this portion. Right before that, they were taking down an average of around 50–60% before this particular auction. So that's a big move to be able to back away from it. Fortunately for the Secretary of Treasury, Tim Geithner, the banks are still providing a fairly strong bid here with over about $120 billion put into this particular auction. That's where we get that bid to cover ratio of around 3 times. So the interesting thing, before I send it back to you, is 1.49% yield is what we sold the 3-year notes at. That is the recessionary average. So you look at if we're heading out of this recession, how can we be at the same yield levels that we see in average for this entire recession going back to November of 2008? We've had so many auctions, particularly in the short end of the curve. It's one of the concessionary reasons why the front end of the curve is not rallying as hard as, say, the 5s, 10s, and 30 years. Those are all moving down about 10 basis points right now. But you see with the 3-year, it's only moving down about 6 basis points. This is where we're at right now. You see it coming down all day long, and now just a slight concession for this particular auction. So I'll send it back to you guys.
Brian Luke on the markets desk.